mainly in the sort of environmental monitoring and flood monitoring space. And I've sort of, with time, sort of migrated from doing sort of code on PIC microprocessors through to sort of looking more at MicroPython as a tool for me to actually develop product. And in order to communicate between my devices, I've looked at a number of different network technologies, and I've focused particularly on low power and low data rate and low data packet sizes. So I've sort of pulled up and focused on LoRa, which stands essentially for long range, wide area network, essentially. There's also a technology called Sigfox, which is a commercial operation, which is very similar in capabilities to LoRa, operates also in the ISM space in the 915 megahertz sort of band. And there's also some new developments happening with essentially the main telcos, the Vodafones, Telstras and Optus of the world, and they're working on a couple of products. One product's called NB-IoT, which is narrowband Internet of Things, and there's another one called CAT-M1. NB-IoT is closer to LoRa and Sigfox in terms of its capabilities. It's designed for low data, long range, small communication packets. CAT-M1 sort of a bit of a bridge between current Wi-Fi technologies and other technologies like that, and gives you a bit more data capability. So if you're wanting to use things like video or surveillance type applications, CAT-M1 is probably the place to go. If you were trying to do low data rate stuff like pushing a button and seeing that happen remotely, or operating a garage door controller, or controlling a water recirculation system in a garden or something of that nature, or even monitoring birds in bird nests, then either LoRa or Sigfox or NB-IoT are probably the tools to go for. The big advantage about LoRa is it's all open source, it's all public domain, there's a bunch of people that are getting involved in around the world, there's a huge amount of work happening in Europe, and they've basically started up a thing called the Things Network, which is what you see on the screen here. Things Network is essentially a community-based network that's been put together that uses LoRa as the key technology, and they use a sort of a slightly enhanced version of that called LoRaWAN, so that you basically end up with a bunch of gateways spread at all locations around the world, and the gateways provide the access point into the network infrastructure. There are literally tens of thousands of gateways. If I can scroll down through this, we might be able to sort of get a bit of an understanding about how many there are. If you hit the Things Network website, you come up with a map, you get an understanding about where all the gateways are placed. At the moment, there's 4,573 gateways around the world. The announcement that Matt was talking about is through some connections I have through one of my clients, which is IAG Insurance Group. They've basically donated a gateway, which we've temporarily put on the front of the cabinet over there. Ultimately, it will have an aerial on the roof. That will give people who are working in this space the ability to actually test out their LoRa developments, so you can develop product using LoRa. There are a bunch of MicroPython compatible devices that are LoRa compatible. You spoke about the TT-Go type boards. There's a number in that sort of space that are all got LoRa capability built into them. You can use MicroPython, you can use Arduino code, whatever your preference is. Obviously MicroPython's the preference for most. So if I just quickly give you a bit of a rundown on this one, sort of show you where we sit on the map. Our network is a bit slow, Matt.
If you look on the screen, it'll be this way.
Yeah, I think so. If I sort of try and zoom into the map, we should.
Maybe it's a bit hard to see. There's 141 in Australia, something like that.
There's not many around Melbourne. That's the thing. When I actually get to the Melbourne map and sort of move it around, you'll see that this one here should be us.
Hey, that's pretty good.
Okay. So you can scroll. As you can see, there's not many around Melbourne. So each gateway, depending on the installation, has probably got a range of about 2 kilometres if it's got an outdoor antenna, right? So, when you draw a 2 kilometre circle around each of them, you can see they don't actually link together, unfortunately, at the moment, because there's not enough population. Whereas if you go to somewhere and have a bit of a look, I won't go into that, but if you go to somewhere like, around Denmark, Europe, Holland, those sort of areas. They've got literally thousands of things in the areas, and there's so much overlap. It doesn't matter whereabouts you are in the city. You can have a LoRa project on the go on your bench at home, and you'll have a connection, no problems. But certainly, it's something I recognise that there's just not enough around Melbourne. So I thought, well, okay, we'll get a gateway here. It gives me another opportunity to test my gear here and demonstrate it to you guys, and also gives you all a chance to actually have a bit of play yourself. The actual tools are available to actually gateway. If we get back to it, Control tab, is that right?
Yep, or Control Shift tab.
Control Shift tab. Might be a bit better.
There's a main, I was like,
Get us back the right way. There's actually when you actually establish an account on the Things network, you have the ability to actually host your own gateway. So you can all go and buy a gateway and put it up on your own home, and it basically you end up with a console that gives you access to the information about the actual gateway itself.
How much are the gateways? Do you know?
They vary in price. I just bought one out of Russia, actually, I'll be honest. I'm waiting for it to be delivered. It was $200.
Right.
So they're not very expensive at all. So the practicality of putting your own gateway in and hosting your own projects is quite feasible. That particular unit, I think you can buy them for about $400 something like that. So they're not that expensive. In terms of this sort of console gives you a bit of an understanding about what the product's doing. It tells you how often it's connecting. It does connect via the internet, obviously. So you plug a LAN cable in, or you hook it up via Wi-Fi, and it then the back end servers periodically poll it. There is a little bit to set it all up because there's a number of different frequency standards that are used around the world in different countries. There's even a couple of different standards that are used here. So you have to actually spend a bit of time reading through the forums, getting a bit of understanding about how to set it up, get it all going. But it's not that difficult. In terms of looking at the traffic, we should be able to see some traffic here. I've essentially got a LoRa node, which is plugged into the laptop to power it basically at the stage and to essentially initialize it. This is actually a product out of China. It's made by a company called RAK, R-A-K. And this uses essentially it's just a node with GPS capability onto it, and you can plug it into an Arduino board or whatever you want. So this one's actually running a bit of CAN software at the moment. So it basically pumps out a temperature, and it's pumping out some GPS coordinates. So the actual data that you see on the screen here, the packets we're looking at here, the smaller packet is the 17-byte packet. It's actually got the temperature embedded in it, and the larger packet's actually got the GPS coordinates. If I go back to get out of the gateways, go back on the I'll go back on this map. I'll go back on it. Back. This way? So if we go I won't go into too much detail about what you're seeing on the screen here. A lot of the parameters are up here are information that the gateway's conveying back to the server in terms of the way it's working. So technology has a number of different communications methods it uses to actually communicate with the devices, and it can actually stretch out the data packets or shrink the data packets depending on the capability of the network and how far the device is away. So typically it'll slow the transmissions down, stretch the packet out when the device is a long way away, and that's what this spreading factor is about. So spreading factor of 12 is in fact the longest packet format that it uses, and it goes down about spreading factor of about 4, I think.
once you get your own gateway, what costs?
Just your internet connection.
Just the internet connection?
Yeah, because you're basically providing community access via your gateway. So if you're hosting it via TTN,
Yep.
it's obviously your internet cost,
Yep.
but we're talking about tens of bytes a time. Yeah, you might end up with 100 people hooking under your thing, but each particular packet of each particular transmission information is quite small. So you're not talking about a lot of data. It's very, very short.
And it's all encrypted data, right? Like there's
there are ways you can encrypt it, and the protocol does provide a method of encrypting. I haven't attempted to even use it. I don't even know whether my data is encrypted. I haven't actually looked.
So
see
what's
what's going
stopping
over the
people who's hosting
device.
a gateway just to sniff everyone's traffic and find out what they're...
It is encrypted to the actual gateway itself. That you basically have to register with a gateway and log into that gateway, and then the traffic between those two is encrypted. But I'm not quite sure how it's doing it.
Right, okay.
Right?
Okay.
I haven't actually looked at it. So it's not possible for you just to monitor everyone's traffic. Right.
Not easily.
Not easily. Not easily. I'm
Okay.
sure someone can do it.
He
Right?
says he rubs his hands.
Yeah, I'm sure someone's going to say it. Now, the big thing about the product is not so much. Let me start a new tab again. Matt, where are we? Up here. See if we can actually. The advantage about the Things network is the packet. The system allows for a number of different integration tools, so you can actually have different visualization tools for the back end. So once you get your data into the cloud, into the TDM cloud, you can then associate a number of back end applications to that data, so you can visualize it, and that can be visualized graphically or via icons or all sorts of other different ways. I'll quickly try and give you a bit of rundown about what that does. I'll go to that. Hopefully we can log in. So a bit faster, unfortunately.
Is anyone here using LoRaWAN for other things or their own projects? No?
Not actively.
Not yet? It's pretty exciting to launch it.
I've been following that LoRa beepers that people have been working on.
Yeah, okay.
So I mean that's a pretty cool idea. Like
Beeping close.
to be able to have a communication technology that bypasses all the telcos
Yeah.
using open source technology is pretty exciting. Someone's going to own that space though at some point, right?
Yeah.
Someone's going to commercialise it. But
The telcos are all trying to get involved with their own technology now with the IoT. It's really
Yeah, the other competing standards.
Yeah.
Those little RFM 95 radios I've got, I think, can do LoRa. I've not used them for that yet though.
Yeah, so those the TTGo ones that Peter referred to before, they're pretty cheap. You can usually get them in a pair with radio connected to each micro. About $40 I think for a unit.
City goes. I think I bought one for about $6.
Yeah.
With an OLED display and everything on it. It's sort of, they're as cheap as. They really are. This is a bit of an example of what you can do. Not working that well, I must admit. But you can basically transfer the data from your device, display it in a graphical sort of format. You can even get coordinates on a map, which is clearly not correct.
Was it this one here? Or?
Well, it is sending out GPS coordinates, but I can't remember where I actually left that map, I'll be honest, because there was a problem with this package. This package, the format of the way it takes the GPS information is different from the way the board sends it, and I did a bit of a dodgy to try and convert it.
But even then, GPS in here is not going to work very well.
It does work. It is actually sending data. I can tell you now, it's actually getting the GPS coordinates. So
Indoors?
Definitely.
Since we're in France.
Yeah, it's definitely got the GPS coordinates. Believe it or not. So,
Okay.
well,
Yeah, they have
the
getting
moment we're
better.
enrolled by that, so anyway. But yeah, there's different ways you can visualise the data, different tools. This is a commercial tool. They're all got their own limitations, unfortunately.
Well, it's still pretty early days for this stuff.
Yeah, it is still very early days. You can you can see the temperatures roll along, chart format, graphical format, whatever.
Okay.
So there's different ways you can visualise. The one I like the most, to be perfectly honest, if I have a new tab, will it actually will it still cast it? Or will it won't? Yeah. Alright, let's just try and
This is your own.
This is my own code. This is my flood monitoring system I do. This is the device on here. And this is not running by LoRa, but it does give you an understanding about some of the stuff I do. Like the units actually have cameras on them, and some of the units have cameras on them and actually capturing images. So when there's a flood, you can actually see what's going on at the location as well. However, the bit that I really wanted to show you is not so much that, but I do have a UI I've been starting to try and put together. Okay, so this is what I've been playing with. So if I had my demonstration working, I'd be able to show you this working in real time. Unfortunately, this is just the last capture it made. So,
Oh, we can do it next month.
so
We'll do it next month.
yeah, we'll do it next time.
This is really cool. Yeah.
Like I said, it was all working when I left home. You know, the usual demonstration.
Works on my days.
But this is a really quick, just proof of concept, just to try and show, okay, how you get the data, you know, cross through LoRa, across the internet, put it on a dashboard and display what's going on. So you can, you know, it would have in real time shown battery levels and water levels, and we could simulate floods and all sorts of things. And this particular page actually is quite smart because I've used a product called Node-RED to actually build this page, which I think one of the members last time was playing with Node-RED. We can actually have a look at the code, which is actually fairly easy to do. Might actually know to open the tab again. Maybe all the tabs open here. So.
Peter, maybe we'll hold that off till next month. Just
Yeah,
want to
right.
give you proper
Easy.
time to do it.
Yep.
Yep. Really short.
Right.
That's definitely a good taste.
Yeah, so
I'm absolutely
there is a
excited
lot
to
you can
see
do,
this here, but
and it's, you know, there's a lot of best to do a bit of search and search on, particularly start with the Things network and just have a bit of a look at the website, follow your way through, see what other people are doing. There's a whole stack of use cases that have been put up on there. They're pretty easy to find. We go back to the main page. Even at the bottom of this page, I think you'll find this. Just follow the links. There's a whole stack of documentation, different hardware. There's a forum as well, which I would advise you to look into. There's there's these labs, which is essentially a whole set of use cases. Come on, right.
So will any LoRa radio work with that to connect to the Things network?
If you've got a LoRa product, a LoRa node you've bought, as long as it works with the standard ISM frequencies here, which is the 915 megahertz. So anything for the US will work here, but you'll probably have to change the firmware in it to set the frequency plans here for Australia, which is what you tend to have to do with all these devices. You know, most of them have got the capability to do that.
If you've got something with a Semtech at 1276.
1276, 1272, yep, they're the devices that they use. Any of those devices will quite happily work here. It's no problem. So, you know, there's stuff from Microchip as well. I think on RM2903, I think it is. It's the one from Microchip. So there's a few different ones around.
To connect with this, you have to run the full LoRaWAN stack on the
Correct.
controller.
Correct. Yeah, that gateway's got 8 channels on it, so it actually can take 8 streams simultaneously. So, you know, when you time multiplex all the data you're sending as well, you know, you could literally have 1,000 devices hooked onto that without any problems.
Does it support roaming, or do you need to register with a particular gateway?
No, it'll support roaming. If
So if
like,
you've got a portable node.
that particular device,
Yeah.
I just bought from home.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you've got a node, you can connect on anywhere, and because any gateway that's connected to the Things network,
Mhm.
doesn't matter anywhere in the world. Well, not quite anywhere.
Anywhere.
Anywhere in the world with the right frequency plan,
Yeah.
you can run your device. So you should be able to roam around Australia, move around Australia, and just connect from one gateway to the next. So if for instance, you happen to be a grey nomad and you've got a caravan and you want your weather station or something like that, actually, you know, occasionally, you know, every 10 minutes drop out some weather of where the hell the caravan happens to be sitting at the time and put it on the internet, you can do that. Right. As long
But
as
with
you've got
the
access
Things
to a gateway.
network box, you're stuck in their network with your data. right? Like, the data goes, like, it comes from your device, it uses
Comes from the device,
LoRa to talk to that,
goes to the gateway,
and there goes to the internet,
gets
to
routed
their
through the internet.
servers.
That's right. Goes to the Things network back end, and then from there you have access to it.
Can you attach
you-
other things, like other services
Sure.
to
Sure.
that, and use the data in their services?
Yeah, that's
Like
exactly what we do.
A3.io
So,
or other things like that?
yep, you can hook it into Amazon's
or anything else.
service. You can hook it into the IBM's service, whatever you have as a preference
Yep.
for a back end service.
Okay.
As long as it has an interface into the TDN,
Yep.
you'll be fine.
Okay.
Yeah,
Cool.
like anything that's MQTT type protocol, you can get MQTT messages. So the Things network back end will convert your raw data in bits and bytes into MQTT messages and then pass that
Forward
on.
them on. Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Good. Yeah.
So you can do quite a lot, which is the way Node-RED works. So Node-RED is a separate package I run on a server. I'm running in Singapore. So I actually then have an MQTT interface to my Node-RED server, and it then looks at that data and then spits that back onto the dashboard we had up before.
Yeah. Okay.
Right.
Awesome.
Cool.
Yeah, it's even Node-RED's actually quite good because I can actually take it either from LoRaWAN or from Sigfox and ultimately for an MBIT connection. So as far as my system's concerned, I don't care where it comes from,
Yeah.
as long as I can get to my Node-RED server
Yeah.
in the right format, I can pass it through. So,
Great.
so that's the idea. So yeah, so look, if any of you are playing around with LoRa or you want to have a bit of play, then come in here. You've certainly got a gateway now you can actually sort of hook onto. So,
Yeah.
and you're welcome to drive around Frederick Galley and hook into mine as well. So.
Thanks, Phil.
Thank you.